What's up, Giants fans? Back at it with another New York Giants pre-draft video. And here today, I'm going through my one and only 7-round mock draft for the New York Football Giants. Now, I've seen what people have been throwing out there, uh, doing a lot of homework, chopping up tape on these prospects, watching them throughout their years in college football. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Giants do. There's two things that I weighed heavily when making my picks. The first thing is the top 30 visits. I always think those are key, especially since Joe Shane and Brian Dable took over. And number two, positional value and pick value combined. I think there are positions of need for the Giants in this draft that you may say, well, they may take them a little bit earlier than they should go. But I think overall the Giants are going with a best player available approach while addressing positions of need. So what I mean by that is if I take a guy, maybe in the second round that might not be the position that you want, but it's still a position of need, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so let's get into the New York Football Giants. First and foremost, I think it's pretty obvious who's going number 3 overall. I have Abdul Carter out of Penn State, the edge rusher. Again, not the number one position of need for the Giants heading into the draft, but the value and need meets what the Giants want. 21 years old, a Philadelphia native, 6'3" junior. I mentioned on my other video about Carter, Giants have brought him in for multiple visits at this point. I think it's been 5 times that they've had, in-person contact with him at this point. The IG story of him with Lawrence Taylor, Dable going to Penn State for breakfast with him. The quote he made earlier this morning, definitely New York right now where he thinks he's going, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Meetings went well. Good character guy. Dable's son, Christian, was on the staff for his freshman year. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table. First team AP All-American, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, starting all 16 games for the Nittany Lions, led the entire FBS with 23.5 tackles for loss, had 12 sacks as well with 2 forced fumbles, and a guy who's developed throughout the course of his career with Penn State. He switched from off-ball linebacker to defensive end. Playing mainly that 5-tech position. If he puts on a little body mass, maybe you can sprinkle him in at the 4-eye. A guy who's going to come off the edge. He can dart around blocks and scrap at the point of attack. He has excellent inside spin, good bend at the top of the rush, good with his hands as well, plays really well with his body control. He might have a small margin of error as a tackler, due to his size, but I do think all in all, he's going to help boost this Giants pass rush. And we know Kayvon Thibodeau's injury history is quite strong since he's been with Big Blue. And with losing Azeez Ojulari in free agency, I think the Giants were looking to improve edge depth in this draft anyway. But when you have a generational talent like Abdul Carter, future All-Pro in my opinion, you can't pass that up. The biggest thing for me that's concerning is the injuries more than the size. The shoulder injury kept him out of drills at the combine. They found a stress reaction in his right foot. No surgery, though. Played through the injuries throughout the course of the season. According to Abdul Carter, he's good to go, and that's why I'm picking him at number 3 overall. Passed on a quarterback here, and as I get into round 2, I do want to say I think there's a strong possibility the Giants trade up back into round 1. I do think the Giants do like one of these QBs enough to trade back into the first round. I think Jaxson Dart is a strong possibility for a first-round trade up, but in this mock, we are sticking with all the picks and no trades. So with that being said, round 2, I think this pick at 34 needs to weigh 275 plus pounds. And I've seen a lot of mocks and what people are doing. I'm going to go something a little bit different here. The Giants, according to reports, have not done too much work on this guy from what we know of, but I've been watching this guy for the past 2 years, and I've fallen in love with Georgia guard Tate Ratledge. Guy is a senior, 6'6", 308, Rome, Georgia native, the hog farmer. Pretty athletic guy, first among guards at the combine. That includes Donovan Jaxson, by the way. I don't think Donovan Jaxson will be here at this point. I think he goes earlier because of his versatility to play that guard tackle. I also have Josh Connerly off the board at this point. So I'm rolling with Tate Ratledge, 32 and a quarter inch arms. Pretty good for his 40-yard, 4.97. 2024, he was a third-team AP All-American, mainly due to that left ankle sprain he had that kept him out of 4 games. He had to have some tightrope surgery on that, but he did come back to play and start again. Despite the injury, he was still first-team All-SEC, started 13 games at right guard. I just think he's an awesome prospect. 2023, I got to see him live at America's largest outdoor cocktail party when Florida played Georgia. Second team AP All-American that year, first team All-SEC, started 13 games at right guard. He was also a part of Georgia's 2 national championship teams in 2022 and 2021. So yeah, 3-year SEC starter, dirt dog mentality. You can't go wrong with that. Pad level's a bit high, but that's why he mauls so well. That leads to early advantages in the run game. He is a run blocking guard. He is elite at run blocking. Pretty solid at pass protection too. Strong hands, good technique, quick feet. Again, average athlete, but decent athleticism for a guy his size. And I think the reason why he falls into round 2 is he lacks a little bit of length, right? He'll reach when punching sometimes, so that's a minor concern, but his mentality and his toughness should make him an immediate starter. And Joe Shane keeps talking about this void at right guard. And if you remember back in 2004, the Giants took Chris Snee with, a second-round pick. And I think here you look at the value between guard and DT. I think Ratledge is just too good of a drive blocker to pass up on. He is very patient when climbing to linebackers at the second level. I'm looking long-term here, guys. I think there's more value with Ratledge than a guy like a Darius Alexander or a DT of that nature, an Ursery out of Minnesota. I just think Ratledge is too good. It makes sense because, like I said, Donovan Jaxson and Josh Connerly are off the board here. And, again, no trades, so I'm not trading up in this mock. So Tate Ratledge at number 34 overall. So far, we've gone trenches with the first 2 picks. Things happen in threes, and we are making lemonade with the trenches here. Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas. I love this guy. Senior, 6'6", 332, massive size, 34.5-inch arms. Second-team AP All-American this year, starting all 16 games. He is a run-stuffing specialist. That's why I preferred him over a guy like an Alexander. 55 tackles, 5.5 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, had a blocked kick, and he's really good elevating with his hands. He had 7 pass breakups this season for a big fella who weighs 332 pounds. His tools are awesome. Also, having a 6'6" frame is not too shabby either. Last season, still started 6 games, playing in 14, playing, split time with Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat, 2 early picks in last year's draft as well. He played 5 years at Texas. So, rotational piece his first 3 years, one of the top 3 DTs in year 4, and a full-time starter in year 5. Plays hard, excellent physical tools. He's quick laterally. He's added mass in 2024 and good versatility as well. That A-plus body type to stop the run is awesome. He widens his base to beat double teams. And I mentioned the pass breakups. He has a good recognition for keeping his eyes on quarterbacks. His knee bend and pad level could use some work at the next level. You want to get a bit lower when you're going to stop the run for a guy who's 6'6" and a pretty massive wingspan. You want to get your arm in there before guards and tackles establish their blocks. But all in all, I think sliding him in there next to Dexter Lawrence is going to be pretty awesome. And I think that's what the Giants are missing. I know they went out and they signed Roy Robertson Harris and Jeremiah Ledbetter in free agency, but they need to upgrade the trenches, man. You're going up against teams that have running backs like Saquon Barkley in this division 2 times a year. You have to do your best. And I think going trenches with the first 3 picks of the draft is an awesome start for the Giants. I think you're elated if you're Joe Shane, if this is how the board falls. Next up, Giants get a comp pick at number 99 overall, and I went with a familiar tie here in running back Caleb Jaxson. Excuse me. Ties on the coaching staff here with Liddell Betts, the new running backs coach, coming in. James Ferentz as well on the coaching staff as the assistant O-line coach. Junior, 6'1", 224. Pretty quick for a guy his size, ran a 4.57 40-yard dash. Second team AP All-American this past year for Iowa. Big Ten running back of the year, ranked 6th in the FBS with 138 points scored. Started 11 games, playing in 12, and ran for a school record 21 rushing touchdowns. Top 10 in the FBS too, with over 1,500 rushing yards. Averaged over 6.5 yards per carry. He did not play in the bowl game, but this guy's a bruiser, more of a finesse running type of style, allows blockers to do their jobs. Not overly aggressive, but good size and strength to break tackles, grab extra yards. Capable catcher. He does struggle in pass pro. Better in a two-back system. I think pairing him with Tyrone Tracy would be great. Tracy also did spend 2 years at Iowa as well. He did miss 3 games in 2023, but again, not too much of an injury history on this guy outside of that. He did have 6 touchdowns as a freshman and ran for nearly 800 yards. And again, this was an Iowa offense that was really bad up until this year. He was the one mainstay, Caleb Jaxson, of that offense that really got the team going. And I think he can be a good short yardage back. I think Tracy is more 20 to 20 guy. And I think Caleb Jaxson is a guy who big size, but decent speed too for a guy with big size at 6'1", 224. So, you still have Devin Singletary there. That's fine for now. But I do think you want a better 1-2 punch. And I think Tracy and Jaxson do bring that to the table. All right. Next up, we just used the comp pick the Giants got for losing Xavier McKinney. 4th round. I think if the Giants are unable to successfully trade up for a quarterback, I think the value finally meets it here with Kyle McCord, 4th round pick at number 105. 6'3" senior out of Syracuse, 218, 22 years old, Philadelphia native, local guy, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. His ceiling, I think, is a really good backup QB, but he does have potential to come in and be like a Brock Purdy, right? Everyone labeled Brock Purdy as a backup in the NFL, and look what happened with him. The odds of that happening are obviously very slim to none, but based off how the board has fallen so far, this is where the value meets. And the Giants have done more work on Kyle McCord than any other team, and that's according to Kyle McCord. He really came into his own this year at Syracuse. He led the ACC in passing yards, 4,779, a school record 34 touchdown passes, second team all-conference too, and he was MVP of the Holiday Bowl, threw for over 450 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Story was a little different at Ohio State. Struggled a little bit there. He had his inconsistencies, but he became really more confident last season. Former backup to C.J. Stroud for a couple of years as well. His best fit is a pro passing scheme, which is why I think his size and his gunslinger mentality will favor what Brian Daboll is looking for. Even if it's not as a starter day 3, you're starting to look for depth pieces at this point. And I think this is a good ad for the Giants. He is poised when faced with pressure. He attacks coverage vertically. He doesn't check down a whole lot. But the reason why I think he falls to day 3, the decision-making and the gunslinger mentality are not always good fits, because when he scrambles, he throws back to the middle of the field often, which is how you typically turn the ball over in the NFL. Beats the blitz, but average mobility, I think, lands him here in round 4 for the Giants. He's a guy that can come in and compete this year, probably be QB3, and next year be QB2 for the Giants. Next up, another guy the Giants brought in for a top 30 visit is Corey Black. I have him going to Big Blue in round 5 at pick 154. I think this is a good spot for him. 6-foot senior, $192, 3-year starter with good size and great speed. That was displayed at his pro day for the Cowboys, and he's played in all types of coverage schemes. I would have preferred more of a safety here, like a Billy Bowman, but I don't think he's on the board at this point. I think Corey Black is the next best DB that the Giants have on their board at this point. Good footwork, needs a bit more work in press and off-man coverage, but he is smothering at the catch point. And I think here for the Giants, you're looking for special teams pieces next year, right? You went out and you signed Paulson and Debo. Deontay Banks entering year 3. Drew Phillips had an awesome rookie year, but you have Cordell Flott entering a contract year. Trey Hawkins has not been good on special teams. So I think Corey Black comes in and replaces Trey Hawkins as corner 5 for Big Blue in 2025. And yeah, he was a very good punt gunner in 2021 before he developed into a starter. His back is to the ball a little bit too often and lunges and grabs and press. So I think that keeps him from being a starter in the NFL. But this past year for OK State, he had 3 picks and 9 passes defended, 5 passes defended the year prior as well. So again, he is not immune to causing turnovers. So yeah, I think all in all, he's a decent prospect, just needs to work on the penalties a little bit. And I think he'd be a solid special teamer for the Giants. All right, 7th round. The Giants don't have a 6th round pick, so we jump to pick number 219. I have the Giants drafting linebacker Carson Bruner from Washington. He was the Giants had a private workout with him. This is a team that they lost Carter Coughlin and Matthew Adams. 5-year guy, redshirted in 2020, developed into an awesome starter. 6'1 senior, 227. 3rd team all Big Ten this year, starting all 13 games. He led the Huskies with 104 tackles, 3 picks, 2 TFLs, 5 pass breakups. He was a team captain as well. Ran a 4.58 40-yard dash. A year ago, played in 15 games, starting just 1, but he still had really, really good stats with 86 tackles. 13 games as a reserve in 2022. Again, really, really good stats. 2021, he started 5, played in 11. His father is a former first-round pick back in 1995. And this is a guy that get things done. You know, he plays stronger than his listed weight at 227. But I think what drops him to round 6-7 in the NFL, he lacks speed and he lacks athleticism to survive against NFL offenses beyond the box. He might not be an NFL linebacker, but special teams could really intrigue teams. He has awesome tape in that category. Not a blitzer, poor short area quickness, short on his range, but he is a hard worker. He is a blue-collar type of player. This guy kind of reminds me of a Chase Blackburn a little bit, if you remember him for the Giants. I know the Giants have done some work on linebackers. They really like Schlesinger out of UCLA. They like Colin Oliver, too, out of OK State. But I think here they're going to go Carson Bruner. They did request a private workout with him as well at his pro day. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Giants do. And finally, at pick 246, I got the local product, double dipping at DT, Howard Cross out of Notre Dame from Paramus, New Jersey. Undersized for a DT at just 6'1", 285. Played 6 years of college ball at Notre Dame. 2023 is where his tape really, really flashed. He was a second-team AP All-American starting all 13 games, 66 tackles, 7 for loss, 2 sacks, a couple forced fumbles as well. This past season, still really good, starting all the games he played in. Had 4 sacks, 5.5 TFLs, but he did miss 3 games with an ankle sprain. You may remember the name. His father played 13 years in the NFL for the Giants, still does some work within the organization for the media. But yeah, like I said, the tape is so disruptive and he might be undersized, but I think this guy, like, if he doesn't go in round 7, he's a priority free agent for the Giants in terms of being a UDFA. Good with stunts, quick feet, plays with good leverage. Some of his production dropped last year, but despite not being the most powerful guy, his effort is unquestionably NFL level. Best fits in a one-gapping scheme. I think Shane Bowen falls in love with him as far as being, a reserve, could potentially be a part of a rotation because right now the Giants signed 2 veteran DTs on short-term deals. Roy Robertson. Well, Robertson Harris was a 3-year deal, but Nacho's on a contract year. Ledbetter was just a 1 year. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You got Casey Rogers, who showed some signs last year, Elijah Chapman as well. You can't have enough DTs in this room because stopping the run was a massive problem last year. I don't think guys like DJ Davidson and Jordan Riley will be on the team in 2025. So, yeah, that is my mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. Just to recap our 7-round mock draft, We went with Abdul Carter in the first round. We went with Tate Ratledge, the guard out of Georgia, in round 2. Alfred Collins, DT out of Texas, in round 3. With our comp pick at number 99, end of the third round, we took running back out of Iowa, Caleb Johnson. QB out of Syracuse in round 4, just 6 picks later, with Kyle McCord. Fifth round at 154, we went Corey Black, the corner out of OK State. With our 2 7-round picks, we went linebacker Carson Bruner out of Washington at pick 219, and rounded out with the local kid Howard Cross, DT out of Notre Dame, at pick 246. So, folks, this was my 7-round mock draft. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Remember to ring the bell for notifications, smash that like button, subscribe. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. We'll be streaming live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with our yearly NFL mock draft, our NFL live draft live stream. Really looking forward to it, folks. And without further ado, let's go Big Blue.